Welcome to Horrific Stories. Today's tale is a terrifying journey filled with suspense and chilling twists. If you love horror, don't forget to subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. It started like any other evening. Kelly, a 19-year-old college freshman, had just finished her evening class and was heading back to her dorm. She popped in her earbuds, queued up her favorite playlist, and opened Snapchat to check her friends' updates. Scrolling through stories, she noticed something odd. Her Snap Map was unusually active. Snap Map had always been a fun way to see where her friends were hanging out, but tonight, there was a strange energy to it. One by one, avatars were popping up in peculiar locations. The notifications began innocently enough. Emily is at the library. Jake is at the student center. Kelly is at the park. She froze. The park? That wasn't right. Kelly wasn't at the park. She was walking on campus, nowhere near the park, and had no plans to go there. Confused, she refreshed the map. It still showed her avatar hovering over the dimly lit park on the edge of town, far from where she actually was. Kelly laughed nervously. "Glitchy app," she muttered, brushing it off. She clicked her avatar to turn off her Snap Map location and resumed walking. Later that night, Kelly was curled up in her dorm room scrolling TikTok. Her roommate Sarah had gone home for the weekend, leaving the room eerily quiet. The only sound was the occasional hum of the mini fridge. Suddenly, Kelly's phone buzzed. It was a Snapchat notification. "You have a new snap from Kelly?" Her heart stopped. "Wait, what?" She stared at the screen. There it was, a snap from herself. With shaky hands, she opened it. The snap was a video taken in pitch darkness, with only faint rustling sounds audible. Then came a whisper. "Come find me." Chills ran down her spine. She quickly checked her own phone to see if it could have been sent by accident, but there was no record of any snap being sent from her account. Trying to calm her nerves, Kelly rationalized that it was some kind of elaborate prank. Maybe Sarah had somehow logged into her account as a joke. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The next day, Kelly decided to confront Sarah, but before she could even text her, another snap notification popped up. "You have a new snap from Kelly." This time, she hesitated. She didn't want to open it, but curiosity got the better of her. The snap was a photo of the park, the same one her Snap Map had claimed she was at the night before. The park was empty, except for a single figure standing under a flickering street lamp. The caption read, "Why didn't you come?" Terrified, Kelly locked her phone and threw it across the room. She couldn't explain what was happening, and she didn't want to. For hours, she sat in silence, too afraid to even glance at her phone. That night, Kelly decided to sleep with the lights on. As she lay in bed, her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a snap. It was a text from Sarah. "Hey, did you send me a snap? That park pic was creepy as hell. Are you okay?" Her blood ran cold. Kelly hadn't sent Sarah anything. Before she could respond, another snap notification appeared. She didn't dare open it. Instead, she deleted Snapchat from her phone entirely. For a moment, she felt a sense of relief. But then, her phone buzzed again. It was a text from an unknown number. "You can't escape me, Kelly. Come to the park." The next morning, Kelly decided to take action. She reported the incidents to campus security, who assured her it was probably a hacker playing tricks. But Kelly knew better. Something more sinister was at play. That night, as she lay in bed, she heard a faint tapping at her window. Her dorm was on the 3rd floor. There was no way anyone could be outside. The tapping grew louder and more insistent. Gathering every ounce of courage, Kelly approached the window. Her heart nearly stopped. Standing on the ground below, looking up at her window, was the same figure from the snap. They waved slowly, deliberately, before disappearing into the shadows. Kelly didn't sleep that night. Days passed. and Kelly stopped leaving her dorm except for class. She deleted all her social media, changed her phone number, and even stayed at a friend's apartment for a week. But it didn't matter. The messages kept coming. Random photos of her walking to class, eating in the dining hall, or sitting in her room, all taken from impossible angles. The final message came 2 weeks later, a simple text. "I'm inside." Kelly turned around slowly, dread pooling in her stomach. Her closet door was ajar, the darkness inside impenetrable. She never saw what came next. Kelly's disappearance remains unsolved, though her case has become the stuff of urban legend on campus. Some say she ran away. Others whisper about the Snap Map Stalker, a malevolent presence that haunts anyone who dares to share their location. But one thing is certain. If your Snap Map shows you in a place you're not, you should start running before it's too late. It began innocently enough, as these things often do. Lizzie, a 22-year-old college senior, loved using Snapchat. She especially enjoyed Snap Map, where she could see what her friends were up to at any given moment. On the night of the incident, she was bored at home, scrolling through stories, when she decided to check the map. Her map opened with a ripple of animation, showing the familiar cartoonish avatars of her friends scattered around town. But something caught her eye. A tiny black figure, unlike any avatar she'd ever seen, was flickering on the edge of the map near her location. It wasn't labeled with a name or bitmoji, just a shadowy silhouette standing completely still. Curious, she zoomed in. The figure disappeared. "Weird," she muttered, assuming it was some kind of glitch. She shrugged it off, turned off her phone, and got ready for bed. At 2:47 a.m., Lizzie's phone buzzed on her nightstand, jolting her awake. Groggy, she reached for it and saw a notification. "Your Snap Map has been updated." Confused, she opened the app. She hadn't touched Snap Map since earlier that evening. To her horror, her Bitmoji was no longer in her bedroom. Instead, it was located at The Hollow, an abandoned wooded area on the outskirts of town, a place she hadn't been to in years. "What the hell?" she whispered, her pulse quickening. She tried refreshing the app, but her avatar stayed stubbornly in the hollow. Then she noticed something worse. The black shadowy figure was back, flickering just a few feet from her Bitmoji. This time, it had a name hovering above it. "Watching You." Lizzie's heart raced. She turned off the app and put her phone face down, convincing herself it was just a prank or a glitch. The next morning, she woke up to another notification. "Watching You sent you a snap." Lizzie stared at her phone, dread pooling in her stomach. She didn't recognize the username, and it wasn't on her friend list. Against her better judgment, she opened the snap. It was a photo of her. Not just any photo, a picture of her taken the night before as she slept in her bed. The image was grainy, but there was no mistaking her face or the familiar layout of her room. The caption read, "Nice place you've got." Her hands trembled as she deleted the app entirely, blocking the number she didn't recognize. That evening, Lizzie stayed at her friend Clara's apartment. She explained what had happened, but Clara laughed it off. "Probably just some creep hacking your account. Don't stress, Lizzie." By midnight, they were binge-watching horror movies to lighten the mood. Lizzie was starting to feel safe again, even a little foolish. Then her phone buzzed. Another Snap notification. Lizzie's blood ran cold. She had deleted the app. How was this possible? With Clara peering over her shoulder, she opened the notification. It was another photo. This time, it was taken from outside Clara's apartment window. The angle was unmistakable, showing the two of them sitting on the couch. "What the?" Clara gasped, rushing to lock the windows. Lizzie checked the Snap Map out of desperation, hoping for answers. The black shadow was there again, but now it was right on top of her location. "Turn off the lights," Lizzie hissed. They sat in darkness, holding their breath, listening for any sound. For hours, nothing happened. No footsteps, no knocks, no movement. Finally, Clara fell asleep, but Lizzie stayed awake, staring at her phone. At 3:15 a.m., her phone buzzed one last time. A new snap. She didn't want to open it, but something compelled her to. Her fingers shook as she tapped the screen. The video began with static. Then the camera panned slowly, shakily, revealing Clara's apartment from inside. Lizzie could see herself in the video, staring at her phone, just as she was now. Behind her, the closet door began to creak open. The video ended abruptly. Lizzie never made it out of Clara's apartment. When Clara woke up, the room was empty, the closet door ajar, and Lizzie's phone lying face down on the couch. Police found no signs of forced entry, no prints, no clues. The only strange detail was Lizzie's snap map. Her avatar was no longer on Clara's street. It had moved back to the hollow, standing next to the black shadow, still labeled, "Watching You." Some say if you zoom in close enough on Snap Map at the hollow, you can still see the black shadow and Lizzie's motionless avatar staring back. It all started with a dare. Rachel, a 20-year-old college sophomore, was hanging out with her friends in their apartment late one Friday night. The group had been swapping scary stories and trying to outdo one another when her roommate, Mia, pulled up Snapchat. "Let's play Snap Map Stalker," Mia said with a wicked grin. The game was simple. Turn on Snap Map, pick a random stranger's avatar nearby, and follow their location for as long as possible without being caught. Rachel wasn't thrilled about the idea. It felt intrusive. But her friends egged her on. Finally, she relented. She opened Snap Map, zooming out to find the avatars scattered across the city. Most were clustered at parties or hanging out at dorms, but one stood out. It was a lone avatar, far from the others, standing still in the middle of the woods just outside of town. The name hovering above it was The Visitor. "Perfect," Mia exclaimed. "Follow them!" Rachel hesitated. Something about the name and the location made her uneasy. "I don't know. That feels kind of creepy." "Come on, it's just a game," her friend Jenna said, nudging her. "What's the worst that could happen?" Reluctantly, Rachel tapped on the avatar. A profile opened, but it was blank. No Bitmoji, no friends, no stories, just a location pin pulsating eerily in the middle of nowhere. At first, nothing happened. The avatar stayed motionless for nearly 10 minutes, and the group began to lose interest. But then, without warning, the avatar moved. It was subtle at first, shifting slightly to the left. Then it began to drift slowly along a narrow, winding path deeper into the woods. "Whoa! They're actually moving," Mia said, leaning closer. "Probably just someone hiking or camping," Rachel murmured, though her stomach twisted with unease. "Let's see where they go," Jenna suggested. The group watched as the avatar meandered through the woods, eventually coming to a stop at an abandoned building, the old Merrick Asylum. Everyone in town knew about it. It had been shut down decades ago after a string of mysterious deaths. "Okay, that's officially creepy," Rachel said, pulling back. "I'm done." "No way. We've come this far," Mia said. Against her better judgment, Rachel kept watching. As they stared at the screen, Rachel's phone buzzed. "The visitor has added you as a friend." Her blood turned to ice. "What the hell?" she whispered. "How is that even possible?" Mia asked. "You didn't add them." Rachel quickly declined the request and closed the app. This was a bad idea. But no sooner had she put her phone down than it buzzed again. "The visitor sent you a snap." Her heart pounded. "I'm not opening that." Jenna grabbed the phone. "Don't be a chicken." She opened the snap. It was a photo taken from inside the asylum. The room was dark, lit only by the faint glow of a phone screen. In the center of the photo, a shadowy figure could be seen sitting cross-legged on the floor, staring at the camera. The caption read, "Come play." Rachel snatched her phone back and deleted the app immediately. That night, Rachel couldn't sleep. Every creak of the apartment, every shadow cast by headlights outside, sent her heart racing. Around 2 a.m., her phone buzzed again. Even though she had deleted Snapchat, she received a text. "Why won't you play with me, Rachel?" Her breath caught in her throat. There was no name, no number, just the message. Then came another buzz. This time it was a photo attachment. With trembling hands, she opened it. The picture was taken from outside her apartment, looking in through her living room window. The caption read, "I'm here." Rachel woke her friends and called the police, but by the time they arrived, there was no one outside. The officers chalked it up to a prank or a stalker, but Rachel knew it was something worse. The next morning, Rachel checked Snap Map again, unable to resist the urge. The visitor's avatar was gone, nowhere to be found. She breathed a sigh of relief. But then, as she zoomed in on her own location, her blood ran cold. Right next to her avatar was another one, a black, featureless figure labeled, "Still Here." And it hasn't left since. Thanks for watching Horrific Stories. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling stories. Until next time, keep your lights on and your fears closed.